Hey scholars, happy Earth Day. Today we are going to be going through my recycling bin and using some of the materials in there to make a musical instrument.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me.
So let's now narrow down what exactly we're going to use for our instrument. So in my mind, I'm thinking about percussion instruments and how those work. I'm thinking about string instruments and how those work, and also woodwind instruments and how those work. I'm thinking that it's most likely that my instrument will turn out to be a percussion instrument. I don't particularly want to put my mouth on the recycling unless I clean it, super well. And for string, there wasn't really anything in the recycling bin that I could make into strings. So I'm thinking of making a percussion instrument. Something I learned researching more about recycling for this video was that unless your recycling materials are super clean, they are not going to get recycled. So I have my plastic cup, my 2 cans, and we're gonna scrub them really clean. 1, because we're gonna make a musical instrument out of it, but 2, also because if I recycle it at some point later on, it needs to be super clean for the recycling plant to be able to process it.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
And while I'm drying it, I just want to talk about reduce, reuse, recycle, and refuse. So those are the 4 R's that I try to think about when I think about buying things and, how I'm going to help the planet stay cleaner and help the planet stay healthier. So the first one is reduce. And basically what reduce means is it just means using less stuff, just reducing or lessening the amount of things that you're buying that, you can only use one time. The reuse option is kind of like what we're doing right now. So these were cans for food. This was a cup for coffee, and now I'm reusing it, using it again for a different purpose. And of course, this purpose is to make a musical instrument. Now, recycle, of course, also has been a part of our video so far. Recycling is where you are going to put your materials that you're done with, of course, when they're very clean, into a recycling bin. Now, it's wonderful because a lot of the time these recycled materials get turned into something new. But the sad part is sometimes there's too much recycling material and they can't actually use it all. So, for example, in 2017, the United States recycled 35.37 million tons of plastic, and only 8% of that got recycled. So that means that 92% of that plastic actually ended up in landfills where the trash goes. So that brings me to the last R, which is refuse. And we'll talk about that as I'm making the instrument. The only other 2 things I'm going to use are a pair of scissors and tape. So I'm thinking that I want the plastic tube to be our mallet, or to be the stick that's going to tap or hit whatever I make. So I think this can stay the way it is, and we'll leave it right here. Maybe I'll cut these into little bits and pieces so that I can put it in something bigger and then shake it so that it kind of has that like maraca or shaker quality. So I was talking about refuse before. So, sorry. That R is going to be where when you're out shopping or you're, thinking about getting a snack or in the grocery store, you want to try to refuse as much plastic or even like metal, paper as you can, and instead use things that you can use many times. So for example, you might have a reusable water bottle instead of buying a plastic water bottle every time you're thirsty. Or you might have a pack of reusable utensils that you keep with you, and you refuse plastic utensils every time you go out to eat. And that way, by saying no thank you to the person who's going to give you that material that you'd only use one time, you'll create way less trash. Because even if you think we can recycle it, like we learned, sometimes not everything gets recycled.
I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day.
I'm gonna put these scraps inside of the can to make a shaker, and I'm gonna try to put this paper over top as, oh, I think it's actually a bag. Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna put the bag, we're gonna make a top for this and make a shaker. That's what we're gonna do.
Dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Okay, let's try it out. Sounds good. Let's go this way. That sounds good too. And I think what we'll do, this is feeling like a little bit like a drum head. So if you hit it like this, lightly of course, that sounds like a drum. Also, if we hit the side, it makes a different sound. So we could kind of go like this. Feel free to try to make your own musical instrument from your recycling bin. The only thing extra I used was tape and scissors. So if you have those two materials in your house, I would love to see what you come up with. One very important point I want to make before you start making your own musical instruments is just to be super careful with cans, because the top rim of an open can is going to be very sharp. So maybe don't use a can if you have other options, but if you are going to use a can, make sure you're careful and you have an adult's help. Reduce, reuse, recycle, refuse. I said reduce, reuse, recycle, refuse.
What a wonderful